Yeah. Spirit do be messing with things, though. I will say that. Isn't it like full moon, Mandee? Isn't there a full moon?
It's definitely full moon. We had full moon at 7:40 this morning.
It's like, aren't we in full moon territory right now? I'm lost. I feel like I've went to a different plane of existence over the past 4 days, and I'm like coming back into this dimension. So I was like, isn't it a full moon? Shouldn't I be screwing up a little bit? So yeah, that was interesting. I'm sure people who watch will probably be feeling full moon stuff, and they'll probably want to talk about that maybe a little bit. So yeah, how are you? What's up?
Good.
You look
I'm good.
magical today, by the way.
Well, thank you. I'm
You're
mooning with the moon, so I'm
super
feeling very
radiant.
like the release coming. Oh, good. Well, thank you. I went for a nice walk before this, and I've been doing like the medical medium cleanse, and it's been feeling really, really good. Hello, ladies. And with that, I've been syncing up like my body, so I've been mooning with the moon. That just came in. So thank you for giving me that compliment, because it's like I feel like all bloated and like, but it's the great release with the moon. And the full
No.
moon, man, it's such a magical time. And this is dreamy Pisces energy. We've had a lot of shifts happening, a lot of revelations, and it's also kind of our time in between, which we just released a beautiful soul broadcast today with Sea Goddess Healing Arts. And it's all about the space in between. So we encourage you to check that out. You can go right to our website and subscribe, or we posted it on all the socials. And each healing artist wrote a little piece about what this in-between energy means. And Ursula, our astrologist, went nice and deep on it. So if you want a deeper look, take a look there and listen to her most recent podcast, Chiron, Becoming Chiron. I always want to call it Chiron Rising, but our other show is Taurus Rising, and it's Becoming Chiron. So welcome.
All meshing together. But yes, Ursa's awesome. She puts it into such like layman's terms. If she can get me to understand my chart, she's magic. I'll put it that way. And I've had her read my charts, and she explained it to me like, well, she didn't explain it to me like I was a 3-year-old, because Ursula's nicer than that. But I will say she explained it to me in a way that I could understand, and I was super grateful for that, because it made a lot of sense to me and my journey and what I was experiencing and all that other stuff. But also most of the stuff that has, like, this whole year has been such a transition for me, and transitions aren't always easy. They feel like you're being pulled apart, pushed back together, and made into a whole new being, essentially, because that's what I felt like anyway. But she explained it, and she was like, yeah, so like all that it's coming to a goddamn close because you did the work. Like, if I wouldn't have done the work, then the other hemisphere would be just as messy, more than likely. But she was like, you've done the work, and so now we're here. And see, this top half is way good. So breathe easy, girl. We got this. So yes, if you want a reading and want to understand it, and want to understand like your birth path and life and experiences, past, present, and future, she's really good at that. So give her a try. Like, and if you don't like it, I always like to feel people out before I connect with them personally. That's a thing for me. I have to know if my energy vibes. Get on their website and check her out, but also check out their YouTube page, because she's got that up there, and it does. She goes into such a beautiful reflection and inner reflection, and also deep dive into the different ways and reasons why we're being affected by what's taking place around us. And it's just beautiful. She does great job. So yes, please check her out. She's amazing, just like everybody else. And I have to say hi, Cece, Sophia, Danielle, and Alicia. Thank you guys so very much. We were discussing that it's a full moon because everything's chaotic.
Happy full moon.
But it's not chaotic at the same time. Beautiful chaos, I feel like we can say. It depends on, I think, where you're at, maybe, with full moons.
Totally.
I personally have been in a pretty space over the past couple weeks, so I don't necessarily know that I'm being affected in dropping things with this one. Next one will be different, more than likely. So
right. And the thing is, the full moon too, once you do start working with it, like, a lot of people felt a lot of pressure over the past couple of weeks, and a lot of like intense things happening. And when the full moon comes, it's the time of the release. It's the time where it's like, all right, we can breathe it out, cry it out, stomp it out, wish it out, dance it out, do what we're going to do. And sometimes we get excited and inspired, and sometimes it's more we're depleted and we're ready to release. And that's okay. Whatever's rising or falling away, it depends on your own little chart and your own little journey and where your soul is at. So totally. Oh, hello. And I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Crystal, for introducing me to StreamYard, because it's super dope and I love it. And I was able to use it easily last week. And I think now that I used it once, now I can see all the comments better, more live as they're coming in. So I'm excited about that. I'm grateful.
That makes me super happy. I love StreamYard. It was one of those things that's really easy to use, but also it gives you more of an opportunity to kind of branch out and be with different things. So I enjoy it. I recommend it to everybody. But yeah, what do you guys want to talk about today? What's up? What's going on? I just am like here, I think right now. That's it. I'm just here.
I'm just here too. But you know what? I'm actually feeling really called to pull, maybe to start our talk with like a little read from Letters to a Starseed. This is Rebecca Campbell's third book, and it's Messages and Activations for Remembering Who You Are and Why You Came Here. And she's got so many incredible tools, resources, books, meditations, all kinds of things to help people on their journey. So maybe we'll start there. And then, yeah, let us know what you guys want to talk about. If you have any questions, what's going on. And actually, after this excerpt, too, I wanted to ask Crystal a little bit about her most recent experience this past weekend. And she's going to tell us just a little bit about it. And she's got full episodes and clips coming up and all that stuff. So yeah, so you guys think about it. I'll do a reading and then we'll ask Crystal. Sound good?
I think that's awesome. I haven't done my last week's in review yet because of how things laid for me, but last week in review was such a week full of self-love and inner reflection, but also like healing, deep dive. Every person that I channeled for last week was in a state of despair, and there was a lot of I want to say this in like a triggering type of way, so I'm just going to say plug your ears if you're triggered by words, because I don't know how else to say this. But every person that I channeled for was somebody who essentially unalived themselves and or were really deep into mental illness in their life and struggled with bonds and love. And so the people coming to me, all of my clients, were people who were really struggling essentially with that self-love, understanding, realization, and how to life after death, with also healing themselves from those unspoken words and, you know, maybe things that we weren't, I guess, given from other people before they passed. And so it really was a week of just kind of sitting with yourself and reloving yourself and understanding some of these processes, while also knowing that you're all amazing people, healers. Rebecca Campbell, Starseed, beautiful book, by the way. That's where I'm getting with this, because if you're an empath, light worker, and your journey is to help heal, which I think all of us are, then that means that sometimes we get stuck in our own sensibilities because we want to fix it for people and we want to make it go away for people. And then we get angry at ourselves and we feel guilt ourselves because we didn't reach out, we didn't call, we didn't communicate. Oh my God, I had this boundary up and this person passed during that moment in time. And it really is just such a nonsensical mess that gets added into our already pretty deep pot or vat full of unspoken, unmended frustrations and feelings. And then we pile that up on top of us. And then we have this, I guess, way of demonizing ourselves instead of looking at the problem the way the problem came about. And so, yes, Mandee, please read from this, because I think this is probably going to hit on some of the aspects of what that is. There's a lot of deep feelings right now in the spirit world about this, and a lot is coming to the surface, and a lot of us are struggling with what that looks like in the healing department and how to do it and how to move through it, and are getting a little bit stuck into some of those deeper, darker emotions is what I'm seeing.
I love it. And healing really is just another word for growth and change. Like,
Mm.
there's so many versions of healing we can have in our lives. And sometimes when we're stuck, there's a reason. Sometimes it's because there's another perspective trying to come in and be shown. Sometimes it's because we got to literally wait for the stars to align or certain things to cross our paths in order to get it or understand. And so it's a really good place when we're stuck to like try to trust in the unknown as much as possible and hold space for yourself and whatever else might be out there. And then I also love that we're having this discussion because our Louise Hay quote, which is Louise Hay houses Rebecca Campbell and most of the cards and so many of the teachers that we love. But the affirmation today is I'm comfortable looking in the mirror and saying, I love you. I really love you. Ooh, I know, right? It's so hard, but it's so potent once we can actually do that. Letter to a starseed. I like to read it like an oracle. You guys can do this. I encourage you to get her books, get her cards. This is something you can do. What do we all need to know most tonight? Okay. Beautiful. All right. So this is I'm going to say poem. Looks like this. And it's called Incarnation. And it's page 152 of Plant Yourself Here.
I have a feeling I'm going to cry tonight, guys. I'm just so sorry. Crystal's going to get emotional tonight because of you and everybody I've channeled for and the experience I had. And I just want you guys to know, spirit is a thing tonight. Commence to reading. I'm muting myself now.
Here's water our soul garden so we can grow. And it's a full moon. Full moons are watery and emotional. And it's the time this all comes up. So you are held, you are loved. We're all holding soul space. So we get teary-eyed when that happens too. Hello, hello. Hi, Emily. Hi, Danielle. Hi, Sage the Mage. Sophia, so glad you guys are all here. So grateful. We're going to do a little reading right now from Letters to a Starseed by Rebecca Campbell. Incarnation. It's easy to get sidetracked and move our gaze to the stars, to look for a familiar, comfortable place, anywhere other than here, to yearn for the infinite bliss of the union in the heavens, or the corner of the universe in which you feel most comfortable. You chose to be here now, so be here now. Many souls struggle with the polarity of this human life, the agony of the extremes that is being a human. The grief, the death, the endings, the conflict, the winter, the other side of where we long to be, the family we were born into, and the experiences we long to have. But life on earth doesn't work that way. You chose to be here, so be here now. We resonate with titles like empath and highly sensitive and try to hide ourselves away from the harshness of the world. Our hearts are broken by the brokenness of the unsustainable world. And it's so much easier if we turn our gaze someplace else, to ease the pain of a world such as this, to choose to be here now. So be here now. This time in which we're living is uncomfortable. There's no doubt. Our hearts should be broken. Our system should be crumbling. Our old ways of being should be questioned. Our curriculum is right in front of us. You chose to be here now, so be here now.
While you were reading, so you probably didn't have that. I highlighted a comment from Danielle. The question I always have is, where's my place in the world? I know I have one, but where is it? And that literally goes hand in hand with what you just read and what I've received last week, and also what I kind of experienced a little bit this last weekend in some of what happens to ourselves and how we essentially either get off our path and try to hitch to somebody else or try to hitch to something different because we get lost essentially in what this nonsense is. And so I was like, oh, it was a little bit beautiful that she put that there. And I was like, hey, yeah, that's what she's reading right now. That's essentially what's been coming through for the past week and a half, guys. So if you're feeling it, you're not alone. And there are ways to re-tap into that. Okay. And I know that we've said this and said this and said this, and we've talked a lot, Mandee, over the past, I think, month about re-finding and pulling yourself back together, because we have that higher self. That higher self is the thing that's lived all of the lives as who you have been. That's what you're pulling in when you're grounding yourself in, when you're calling yourself in, when you're meditating on your space. That's what you're calling in. And so many times life happens and we slowly disassociate from what that is inside of ourselves. And so we focus solely on this aspect. When they do this for me, they mean blinders. They like give me a horse with blinders, and that's how we walk through life. Not because we're ugly people, not because we're unempathic, not because we're not anything. It's because we are focused from this age to see what's in front of our face and not focus on this or focus on this or focus on this. And it's not to put focus on, because what we have been taught to focus on is in a negative focus way. And that's where the brain comes in and the processes and that, back part of our head that remembers every fucking thing that's ever happened in our life. That's where that mess comes in and starts talking incessantly about everything and then filling our head with doubts. Well, we don't have this connected to us and we haven't pulled that self back into us. We're always going to feel like we don't belong. We're going to feel like we don't have a purpose. We're going to feel overwhelmed with our path. Because a healer is overwhelmed until you know how, or train yourself how to not be overwhelmed. And to teach and train yourself, you have to focus on not being overwhelmed every time overwhelm comes into your space. And so if we're not
opposite peace,
looking at it that way, and we're not retraining ourselves that way, we're missing those opportunities, which don't hear that wrong. Just because you're missing opportunities doesn't mean you're failing at opportunities. It means you're not in a place to see the opportunities because you haven't trained yourself yet to see those opportunities. And so it's like this weird vicious cycle that we get ourselves caught up in. And then we feel like we don't know how to get out of that weird vicious cycle that we have ourselves in. And so it's just this repeated thing that keeps happening over and over. And then we find ourselves depressed, anxious, sick, stuck in bad relationships and family drama and this situation and work sucks and all these other things where the overwhelm comes in. And then what do? We once again disassociate. We have to find a way to love ourselves, all of ourselves, our whole selves, and then pull that piece back together, because by loving ourselves, we're also loving the mistakes. We're also loving the journey. We're loving the journey. We're not focused on a destination because there is no destination. The destination's the same for all of us. I'm sorry, but it is. And the end is the end. That's the destination. So focus on the now. Focus on today. Focus on what you want today to look like. What is today for? What do you want to create for your tomorrow? And how can you focus on what that looks like differently today, even though it might not be here for you to grab onto? Focus on what you specifically can do in this moment to create that today. And stop focusing so much on what you don't have or what you want or how you want it to happen, because it's when you release those things that it starts to fall into place. It's that magic in letting go and saying, you know what? It's all going to be okay because Source created me. I am part of Source. There are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. You're not a mistake. Your path isn't a mistake. Your mistakes aren't mistakes. There's no mistakes. Feel it, love it, embrace it, and move through. And that's really all you can do. And I, too, have tried to micromanage how Spirit gives me things in the past. Bad at that. When that happens, that's where the chaos comes in. It's very frustrating to us as a whole, because then we get further lost inside of ourselves and inside of our own heads and inside of the deeper, darker parts of our tunnel that feel like there's no light at the end of it. And that's kind of where we're at right now. And I would love for each and every one of you to find that way through, I guess, to find the vein through to yourself up here. And from my personal perspective, the only way that I was able to do that was to literally stop it from coming up, because my brain really likes to make everything a mess. And so I had to stop it as it came, which is different from not feeling it. You can feel the emotions, you can acknowledge the pain, you can look at the trauma without allowing your brain to take you back into it, but it comes with a lot of retraining. So whatever your experience is, whatever your lostness is, ask yourself why it's happening to you, like not to you, but why is it happening for you? Why is it happening in this moment? Is it giving you space to grow? Is it saying do something different with your life? Is it saying I'm worth more in this area? Is it saying focus more on your health, your healing, whatever? There's always a reason for that. And it's our job to refocus in those moments. I feel like to re-understand why it's taking place, because it's always for something. Even if you feel like you're failing in the moment, it's always for something. I hope that helps. And I'm sorry for rambling because that was a lot. But at the same time, I was trying to do it in a way that made sense.
All is well. All is well. I love it. And part of that too, be here now, like if you take a second and you zoom out, like this is just one little lifetime in our whole book of lifetime. And it's so cool to learn about our past lives and learn about our karmic relationships and learn about our lessons and what we're here for. But it's also so important to be present. And though it feels like it's forever, like a lifetime is just, it's a blink of an eye. And so it's so important, like when you can't control anything and when you are overwhelmed, take a few deep breaths, go over what you're grateful for in the moment. Even on your worst days, I've worked with some people who've been through the craziest trauma and drama and shit. And even on your worst days, like you can find something to be grateful for. And honestly, the people who are like some of the most loving, most badass, resilient people are the ones who've been through the most shit. They've been to hell and back, and it makes them be even more grateful and more present for this lifetime here right now. And for me, what I believe, and I know what Crystal believes, is like we are infinitely connected to our loved ones. And your language changes, the relationship changes a little bit, but spirit and the love is still there no matter what. And so it's always an opportunity to develop another connection when we are going through loss, and when we are even going through loss of ourselves and different things and transition and change and all this stuff. So this whole be here now, get planted, especially if you're in the north with the springtime and things are rumbling, and it's for a reason, and you are meant to be here right now. So I know we have lots of comments coming in, so we should definitely take a look at those. And hello everyone, thank you for being here. And hi Glenda.
I love that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to her earlier ones, and I will say, Andrea, I'm going to go back to her first, says, I love Rebecca Campbell. Can't wait to see Crystal's show. Feeling a little down and would love any insight from my guides on having faith and direction. Ooh. And I was like, I feel like Bobby's World every time Mandee gets out her cards, because I feel like it comes from this great big book of everything. This is a whole song. It's a whole kid's song. And so every time she goes to her great big card piles down there, I'm always like thinking of Bobby's World in my head.
I'm gonna pull a rose card from Rebecca Campbell, actually, which I don't usually do on this show, so this will be fun. The rose card. Okay. And this is for Andrea, right? Andrea. Yep. The rose thread, inner call, soul-led, mystic. The mystic, living courageously. Know right now that the things that are happening are for you. And so it is hard to have faith, but the time to have faith is now in the unknown. It's the time to trust that, you know what, I've been doing my work. I've been walking my path. I've been connecting with my higher self and spirit. And I trust that the next step that I need to know will be revealed to me. And I'm going to trust in the sweetness of life a little bit. I'm going to trust that there's sacred things being woven and being lined up in divine timing for me at this time. And ways that we can have faith a little bit more is just to connect with ourselves, to go deeper, literally smell the roses, do some yoga, go for a walk, connect with your breath, connect with something fun. When something makes you laugh or smile, feel it. See if you can feel it a little extra longer, if you can hold that in your heart. And those are great ways to kind of start to pass the time. And also just find something that interests you, whether it's a book or a show or something completely silly or a craft or doing something. They're showing you working with your hands helps a lot. And so do that. And when you do, what'll happen is that what you need to know will be revealed. And it's really important to just do your best to build that faith. And we can build faith and trust with ourselves. Little things like going to bed at a certain time every night, pulling ourselves a card each day, going for a walk or a meditation. Things like that build trust with ourselves and spirit. So I hope that helps. And I hope that holds you a little bit tonight. The rose thread.
Andrea, your guides are just doing path change for me. They're not doing this. This means like completely different path. What they're doing is they're going and veering off the same path for me, which means that you're looking for something different. I feel like this isn't a huge life change for you. They're not giving that to me. They're actually making me feel like this is you choosing to make different choices to bring more happiness and peace into your own space and into your own sensibilities. With that kind of comes ruffled feathers. Okay. So it might be people, it might be situations, it might be anything. When you start to kind of take your power back and have boundaries, I know when we talk about it kind of sounds negative to some people. It's kind of like, oh, putting my foot down. It doesn't really have to look like that at all. It literally can just be, I don't want to give my space or my energy to that anymore. And so I'm going to let you delegate that to somebody else if it's something you can say no to. But they're making me feel like you're trying to stay within your balance system while having to learn how to put your foot down a little bit. And I think that there might be some push or some opposition to your boundaries because they're putting magnets like depolarizing from each other and pushing away. And they're making me feel like you're not used to this. Like you're so good at loving people and surrounding people, but you need it now too. And so asking people to meet you differently from where you are today versus where you were 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15, 20 years ago, that's okay. Because we're all supposed to grow. We're all supposed to change. We're not supposed to, if I'm still the same person at 50 as I was at 25, I've screwed myself in a few years of growth. And so we're supposed to do that. And they're just making me feel like you're choosing to make different strides in your life and bring different things into your sensibilities, which is not only causing you internal conflict because it's pushing you out of your comfort zone. They're making me feel like it's really pushing other people out of theirs. And so stand strong with that. Continue doing what it is that you're doing and don't feel the need to, I love this. Thank you guys. People in my head. They said, this is a good start for all of you. They put my stop sign up like, hold on a second. We're going to explain this. So when we're sitting in that moment and we're having to do something that we're not quite used to doing, and somebody gives us vibes, they don't have to speak words. I know you all know this. They give us vibes. And those vibes give us feels. And then we're like, oh my God, I've screwed up. I've made them mad. They're feeling frustrated. They're sad with this. I've disappointed somebody. Shit, now there's frustration involved. And then we get all encompassed by the feels, the vibes of other people. Empaths. We are here to receive, and we are here to give back love. Receive love. Receive love. That's your job. Your job is to receive the energy, whether it be frustration, sadness, anger, disappointment, blah, blah, blah. It's to receive it. Say, wow, thank you guys for this beautiful gift of being able to give me something to help me understand through their perspective what they're feeling, experiencing in their life. I acknowledge that. I thank you for that gift. Taking your deep breath. I thank you for blessing them with love on their journey and maybe understanding for where I'm coming from. I thank you guys. I ask that to be for the highest good of all concerned. And I also thank you for putting their energy back in their lap because it's not mine to fix. Okay? You got to stop taking on all of that for everybody around you. And they're making me feel like that's where some of this is coming in because you're picking up on all the things. And it might not necessarily be your people specifically, but worldwide. Mandee just talked about this in the Starseed book with Rebecca Campbell. We're talking about that now. It is not taking on the world's problems and thinking your job specifically is to fix those. It is taking on the things inside of you and fixing those things so you can make positive ripples out into the world and affect other people in positive ways, because then they're going to affect people in positive ways. And that's how we change the world here, not externally. And so what they're doing is they're calling all of you in. This isn't just for you, Andrea, now. This is a freaking piggybacking situation here. They're making me feel like they're calling all of you back into yourself. Please learn how to ground, guys, because I feel like half of you are not focusing on grounding throughout your day, because they're making me feel like there's a lot of beehive energy out there right now. So please refocus on that healing and pulling yourself back in with that. Hope that helps, Andrea. If it wasn't just for you, once again, I think there was more people involved here. So Alicia says, I love that you help human clients and spiritual clients as well. Daniel says, I'm at the place where I don't have anything planned after this upcoming paid performing gig I have, and it usually gets me depressed and I stop doing. I am just feeling bummed that I can't seem to get into a regular paid performing flow. My purpose is to sing. I give healing energy through my voice and music, and just don't know how. I just don't know. I'm having doubts, I guess. But how can you change that? How can you create that space differently? How can you bring in your own money and be the creator of your own path? They're making me feel like they're giving you different opportunities every single day to do this in a different way, to create your own thing, so you don't have to depend on others to pull you in. They're like, because I think you do have big gifts. And so just like somebody who may make tapes or audiobooks or something like that, like there's a way for you to change this in the direction that you have more control over your own sense and your own space. But it's going to require you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And they're making me feel like you don't want to get out of your comfort zone right now. And they're like, it's cool. We don't want to push that. Not yet. You've had a lot of changes over the past 5 years, dear. And they see that. So just know there are different things changing for you. And I actually think it's for the best.
I love that. And yeah, Danielle, have some faith. And like Crystal said, it is an opportunity. I've had the pleasure of hearing you sing, so I know you're amazing, and I know it's a gift, and I know that it's meant to be shared. Like Crystal said, you might have to get a little uncomfortable and step out of your comfort zone. But I like the idea of you maybe just starting out online and singing for some tips and seeing what happens and where that grows, and putting your energy out there and seeing where it could lead. And when we don't know what's going to come, we have to trust. Something amazing is coming. All of my needs are met. I will be fine. I've made it through 100% of my hardest days. Here I am right now, and I'm going to co-create, and I'm going to trust. And you know what? And even Rebecca Campbell and many other teachers say, like, if you want to be a writer, you got to show up and write. Like, if you want to be a teacher, you got to show up and teach. You got to plan your coursework. If and like, you can't be a writer and write a book without sitting down and writing it. And so, like, if you want the job and you don't have it yet, show up for it still, and show up for what you would do if you did have that. How would you prepare? What would you do? What would you be learning, doing for your body, all of those things. And this goes not just for you, Danielle, but for anyone who's really calling in some sort of goal that they're really wanting to do. And like, for me, I'm constantly, if I don't have a client, I'm reading and learning. If I'm not creating, I'm practicing a skill, I'm jumping into it, I'm practicing what I preach. So like, there's always room for that. So much room for that.
She did agree with you. She said that she's starting to. She's trying. She's getting there.
Awesome.
She said yes, Mandee. And Cece says, I'm going up to our comments that we had previously. Cool. Sorry. Cece says, oh my, that hits deep, Mandee, with the Starseed and Rebecca Campbell. Mm-hmm. Wow, I love that poem because it's hard to be here right now. Rita says, I am looking for someone to connect me to my mother. Please. I have been grieving since January, and I just want to know if there is a message that she's trying to get to me. I didn't laugh at you or your message. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at the feelings and the vibes that are coming through to me, because you have a beautiful mom, by the way. She's doing this to me, which means closeness and love, a lot like more of a sister energy or a friend energy than an actual mom energy. And so it's kind of like, come on, is what I'm laughing at, because she's making me feel like, come on, you know how to do this. Like, you know how to do this. And I know that doesn't stop anything. Like, that doesn't stop our friend, like our frustration, because you think that she should be able to come through right now. Halt. my dear. She's snapping her fingers and making me feel like this was a little bit quick and unexpected for the time in which I feel like I passed. But at the same time, it took a lot out of her. I feel like everybody knew that this was coming because she's almost making me feel like we knew what was taking place. And I feel like everybody should have been able to say all those things that we wanted to say. We should have had the time, but time is really fast in the end. Okay. Really fast. And there's a lot of things to get done. And so those moments sometimes aren't as embraced as we would like them to be, because no matter what, I don't care what you have, what experience you have, I don't care if it's 10 years. To me and how it's channeled, there's never enough time. There is never enough time to hold a hand. There is never enough time to give love. There's never enough time to talk, communicate while we can. There's never enough time. And so when that closure finally happens, it's very frustrating. And she's making me feel like that's why there's a lot of this. It was like, boom, boom, boom. It's so quick. It's like we can't grasp what's happening. And so there's this space where she's separating me from you. And it says that you couldn't, it does say that you couldn't see her at the end of her life. But she's separating me from the space. So she's just making me feel like, because there's that separation, she's making me feel like that's where that comes in. And so you feel almost that disconnect still, because you didn't have that connection there at that moment. And so she's wanting to remind you that she's been training you also your whole life. You know how to connect. You've connected your whole life. You are truly intuitive. You are a light being yourself. She's making me feel like you see and receive spirit from all sorts of aspects of your life. You have been forever. You are natural. And so right now it is going to be a little bit more difficult, because mom's learning how to communicate over here with just energy instead of words. Why? Because you're still in a place of grieving. And when we're in a place of grieving, it makes it difficult for us to tune in to the actual messages, how they come through, because we're grieving. When we're grieving, we're pushing energy away from us because we need a safe place to heal. It's like a cocoon. We need to pull ourselves in. And so it's almost like pushing it away. And if mom's energy isn't working at full value right now, because she's learning some stuff and getting re-energized herself because of what her situation was, she's not going to have all that energy to push forward those things that we need from her to validate that she's actually okay. And she wants you to know she is. And whether you were there in that moment or not, you were holding her hand, because she is making me feel like you were actually there in conversation while this is taking place. Even though you may have felt like you missed it, you were talking to mom and or thinking about mom in that moment while this is actually taking place. And she's making me feel like, because I'm in this head to toe numbness state where I'm not fully able to cope with life and see and feel like in a coma state, sleeping, she's making me feel like in that state of mind, she's able to connect with everything because her spirit is alive again. Our body is what keeps us in this castle, like this capsule. But boy almighty, our spirit can be wherever the hell it wants to be. And she's making me feel like it was all over. It's everywhere. It's with you and others. And so to her, this is exactly how she crossed over. There was no this. And she's trying to get you to remember that. But this is keeping you from being able to anchor yourself to those feelings and understandings that you both are spiritual beings. And you both have the ability to connect. And that connection isn't broken as a whole. It is broken in human form. Okay? So give mom more time to get more energy, to prove to you that she's around you, because she's making me feel like you're a little stubborn, a little hard-headed, and you don't always like to listen to things at face value when they come through. And so she's got to get to you a different way. Okay. So just know and understand she's working with the energy to bring it to you. And this is never going to be broken. This is the closeness. This is the love. This is the friendship. This is the connection. This is the understanding that you guys had when she was in physical form. Okay. So please know and understand that also she is presenting butterflies, specifically bluish ones, like blue-green ones. So she's just making me feel like we need to know and understand that there's butterflies involved. And that's probably one of the ways that she's going to come through to you. Okay. Also, happy birthday, because she's making me feel like there's a female. I don't know if it's you, but she's giving me a female that either has a birthday coming up or just passed. So she's giving happy birthdays. And I'm going to go back up and she couldn't speak. So I hope that made sense to you, Rita. I am very sorry that you lost your mom in physical form, but I'm going to tell you she's awesome on the other side and still full of life and lots of love for you. You guys have been through it together, my dear. I'll say it like that. You two are each other's rock in a lot of ways. So I hope that helps. Daniel says, thank you for confirming. Yes, calm amidst the chaos. And I've been working on that for years. And we're going to go to Sophia. I've been frantically thinking about creating source of food for pollinators and birds. I love that. All the gross stuff happening on Earth has me trying to control my space and make it a sanctuary. I feel super aligned since actively working on this goal. Just wanted to share in case any others were feeling the same way. I love that.
I love this.
I love that so much. But they said, can you change your word? One word. You're not trying to control your space. Words are actions and they create feelings and vibes. And control generally has, like, if somebody's trying to control you, is that negative or positive? Okay. So they're like, change that a little bit, because what you're actually receiving is the fact that we're asking you to put source back into the energy of Mother Earth. So really what you're doing is you're healing. You're trying to heal your space and make it a sanctuary. Okay. They're like this, just like that. That's it. Just that's all. You're doing a great job, by the way. You got quite the list going. Making me feel like you're not going to use it all, but boy, do you have a list.
I love that. I love that, Sophia. And I've been feeling it too, and so many people have. And actually, like, up on my bookcase, that's like my change jar up there, and it literally says plant for pollinators all around it. And it's so important at this time because it literally, like, the way there's so many things that go into bees and flowers and how we're going to heal this earth and ourselves and everything. But you're literally like putting your essence into your land, and then the bees are coming and they're carrying that love and that energy to other places, and then they're also able to nurture themselves, and they're able to be a part, you're able to be a part of supporting a sustainable ecosystem, and it's truly beautiful. And when it comes in and you see the butterflies come in and the birds and all the different things, like, it feels rewarding and it feels beautiful and connected. So enjoy that and put your intentions into it as well, and allow, the fact that it's like calling you and letting you be super aligned is really cool. So thank you for sharing that. I'm into that. And also, when it comes to the full moon and planting and stuff, you can start planting around moons, and you can use crystals and all kinds of cool things. So don't forget about that part. What are you going to say, Crystal?
I love her. I'm sorry, I was blocking comments and such because that's fun to do. She said that yes, yes, fountains, planting birdhouses, feeders. Oh my, that is a lot of stuff, but I love it. I feel like you are creating a sanctuary. One of the things that I love about California is they have all these beautiful beehives, like by the almond orchards. And so they're by the road. So when you're stuck in traffic by the road, you can put your hand out and talk to the bees, and they'll land on your hand. Ben always thinks I'm insane for this. He's like, I've never met anybody who can talk to bees and call them to you. And I do. And then I sit there and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. Because their little feet are buzzy and they make this like tickly feel. And so I'll be like, thank you guys so very much for the job that you do, and blah, 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 blah. And then they just fly away when they're ready. It's the coolest experience. I absolutely love bees. They're my jam. I miss bees because we don't have them as much where I'm currently at, but I do love getting to them. So yes, they're my fave. So I'm going back up in comments. Sorry. I am lost, you guys. Okay, here we are. I like that. Why is this happening for you, not to you? I really needed all of that. Thank you. Danielle, thank you. I have been stopping things in my thoughts and was stopping myself from feeling, but that's not the case. There really are some things I need to stop. Trisha gives us a heart. Andrea, hello, beautiful ladies. Emily, oh my gosh, Bobby's World. Yes. Sage, I would love and deeply appreciate a reading for my Saturn's return to Pisces. You both helped me daily through these connections you've been talking about, and I love you infinitely. Is that an Ursula thing? Is that what you're bringing up? Or is that the full moon?
Saturn return is like we all go through it, and I think it's like our 37th year when like Saturn returns around and a lot of things come up. And so if it is close to your birthday, happy birthday. And I would certainly be honored to pull you a few starseed cards and see what kind of comes up for Sage the Mage right now from the starseed deck.
I swear I'm not as stupid as I come off, I promise. Sometimes I know.
Fantastic. All right, you got two. The first one, Breath of the Cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. You are being called to be led by your heart, by your soul, by your intuition. I'm sure that some of that is coming up right now, and there's a reason you're connecting to things within yourself, outside of yourself. And actually, your next card that came up is called Soul Training Gifts. It's time to step up. You are being initiated. This is happening for you, and you're being called to maybe even walk a path that has not been walked, and it's important to do the best you can with it. Doesn't mean go in completely blind, get your guidance where you can, but also when it's time to give yourself that gentle nudge to push yourself outside of your comfort zone and allow yourself to co-create what it is you're offering, it's going to be magic, and it's important to follow that. So at the same time, surrender a little bit to what you thought the picture would be, where you thought you would be in your life, all this stuff. Surrender to what's being called, what's pulling towards you, and what you're feeling like the universe might have in store for you. And then let yourself be surprised and excited when it all comes in for you. I hope that helps, and happy Saturn return in Pisces.
I knew what Saturn's return is because they told me I went through one at one point. They give it to other people too.
Well, and the other thing with the Saturn's return to Pisces too is it's Saturn was in, I forget what it was in the past like couple years, but it was rough. And now it's coming in a really beautiful way for all of us to change, to shift, to grow. Like that's a lot of that what Sophia was just talking about, being called to plant and like these new things coming in. It's going to put a lot of people in alignment because the energy was really rough the past couple of years. And now Saturn's in a much better sign and it's a little more dreamy. So I think that's a little bit more what it's talking about. But also I feel like there's a lot coming up because then in your personal charts, you have a Saturn return, you have all kinds of different returns. And Ursula can explain that to us even more next time we have her on.
It's like, watch Ursula. that's me giving you subliminal messages that I'm really shitty at. Any words of wisdom for me from either of you? Only if you feel drawn to. Andrea.
Did you block Luke yet?
Oh, no, I haven't. Sorry. I'm getting there.
That's okay. Go on down and block Luke. And in the meantime, sorry, Luke, thanks for popping on. But we don't solicit readings to people because it's not cool and we let them come to us. So I hope you enjoyed our show. All right. So for Andrea, I'm actually feeling called to pull an angel card for you. This is one of my OG Kyle Gray angel decks. For Andrea. The theme today. You've got two. Love and protect yourself, or love and accept yourself is number one. Thank you, angels, for lovingly guiding me into self-acceptance. This is a challenge for you. It always has been, and it's coming up more and more and more. And they're showing us little things. Like, you're appreciated by your family. You're like proud of some things that you do, but you still talk shit to yourself and criticize yourself a lot. And you still can be really hard on yourself. And that's inner dialogue is really a time for that to shift and change. And they're also just showing little things like looking at your hair, looking in your eyes, and truly telling yourself you love yourself and you've earned where you're at in this lifetime and you deserve to fall a little bit more in love with yourself and your life. And if you're worried about anything, if you got anything coming up, you are protected. Archangel Michael. Thank you, Michael, for surrounding me with your protective light. They're also showing, I feel like you may have, if you didn't already, it's going to happen soon, but seen a couple blue Orbeez around you. And it's actually Archangel Michael and his legion. And you're seeing some angels and it's happening and you're not crazy and it feels really warm and fuzzy when it's around. So if that hasn't happened yet, it's going to, but I think it probably has. So I hope that helps, and I hope that supports you, Andrea.
Thank you, Mandee. So we have Angie. She says, I've been dealing with a lot of health issues. Will they be ending anytime soon? It really plays a number on me mentally and physically that I feel like I'm losing it. Thank you for any guidance.
Awesome. You want me to pull some cards?
I will have you. I know her. So Crystal doesn't try to read people. She knows. I know her, and I know her health issues. So I would actually like the information to come from somebody other than me.
Perfect. All right. So yes, pulled you 2 cards. This is from Work Your Light, Rebecca Campbell. Protection. Call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. Ooh, that one jumps on out. They're showing that actually you are going to heal. Things are going to shift for you. Things are going to change. And you're well on your way, and you're already doing the work. There's a few missing pieces. There's some stuff happening that you're not quite sure of yet. But know that you're going to find that. I know for me, a lot changed when I started changing my mindfulness and listening to Louise Hay and things like that. And then also when I started doing like the medical medium cleanse and yoga and different stuff. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, he just helps you to rewire yourself back from almost anything. Even if they say, you're going to die tomorrow, he's like, hold my hold my crystal, hold my beer, hold my whatever, like well, let's see, my J. Exactly. And so just know that it's just so important to never give up hope. And I've been in chronic pain. I've been told, like, I'm going to be disabled the rest of my life and all kinds of shit. And I was like, no. And I've been able to change that and heal that because I didn't want to accept that. So that worked out in my favor. And then your next one is the pillar of light. Your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. And they're showing you've actually had a few glimpses of hope. You've had some uppers recently with a couple things, and more of that's going to be coming. They're showing that your intuition has actually really grown a lot recently, and it's important that you start to trust it more and take some time to do what you need to do to truly make sure you are doing what you need to do every day to give yourself the medicines you need to start healing. It's so important because you care so much about so many people and so many things, and it's so important to care and love yourself at this time as much as possible and just really nurture yourself and rock yourself back in. But no, you are protected and you are calling back your power, and wonderful things are going to be coming in. I hope that helps and supports Angie.
How do I push back all of those things that pop up and give me reasons why I shouldn't proceed with what I feel like my heart is calling me to do? There are different things in different ways, and it depends on what it is. So Mandee, it's, to me, I struggle in explaining things in an outward term in the sense that it could be one specific thing. So I'm just going to give my roundabout answer to that. When something comes through, I was originally trained or told to cancel. Okay. I don't do that anymore because I don't like the word cancel. I feel like it actually has a negative space for me because there was so much stuff that came up to the surface and a lot of healing. And to cancel that was essentially what I had already done, which is why I was sick and stuck to begin with. And in that space of mental, emotional. And so I call myself back in those moments. And so I redirect where I'm going. I'm like, okay, Crystal, hold up a second. First off, this is the dumbest thing. I know to some people it sounds crazy, but I'm like, is this going to kill you or one of your family members? Like, is this seriously something that is going to change the course of everybody's life around you right now in this moment?
That's not crazy. That's a great way to practice the pause.
I was like,
time out, let's survey the scene. What's the emotional damage potentially here right now? I like that.
I actually asked myself that question because Crystal was a drama addict. Crystal is a drama addict. I'll say that way because it's no different to me than heroin. When you're raised to be chaotic and experience chaos and feed off from that in your brain as your dopamine, then you want that in your life. And so with me, I have to reflect on a way that's like dire frickin' purposes, lady. Is this going to do something that is going to bring imminent danger to you in any way, shape, or form? If that answer is no, then is it worth your time? Okay. And this could be something that I'm bringing up from my own past. This could be something that has experienced like now in my space, or even in the future that hasn't even happened yet, because my brain also likes to jump into scenarios and situations that haven't even freaking taken place and then fight those too. And so in that moment, I literally have to pull myself together and find a way to bring myself back to a state of reality and what's important, what's not important. Because once I slow myself down and think that through a little bit, I can also say, okay, is experiencing this way helping you? Because it's not. It's, if you're angry, frustrated, screaming and yelling isn't ever going to change something from happening or how it's already taking place. It's just not. So for me, I had to retrain myself how to damage control myself, essentially, in all these situations. And specifically with me, my biggest issue has always been like the PTSD and the conversations and the situations and the scenarios that come back into my head. And so what I do is I stop and I say those things. And then I also say, wow, you know what, Crystal? That is really frustrating. I understand that you were really scared in that moment. I understand that you felt insecure or this or this or this, whatever it is. And I also understand that in that moment you reacted in those ways because that's how you knew to act and react, and you deserved a lot of love. And so I am sorry that you weren't held the way, talked to the way, experienced the way, loved through the way, whatever it was. Maybe I did it to myself. Maybe it was my own issue. Maybe it was my own problem. Maybe it was me making the wrong choice or decision and I'm beating myself up for my own choices. Same thing. Because that version of Crystal is not the same version that exists right now in this space. Yes, she belongs to me because I was her. However, I'm not that same person and I don't meet things the same way. And so I knew how to meet myself there the way I knew how to meet myself there. And so I give her love. And then I spiritually, mentally, physically, it depends on what I'm being called to, give myself love. And remind myself that I am fun, empathic, beautiful, kind, caring. I know where I stand in life. I know my intentions in life. Nobody else does. And so that's how I essentially try to retrain myself and pull myself back from these situations, scenarios, talking, whatever it is that's happening, doom and gloom, what could take place, the way deep conspiracy theories that everything's going to happen, because boy, aren't those easy to hop into sometimes out of fear. But we have to slow ourselves down. And in the reality of right now, is that happening? No? Okay, well then why put momentum and focus into that? Why not retrain yourself in that moment to put momentum and focus into what feels good and what you're trying to do and how you have grown, what you have healed, what you have experienced in a positive way, what you will experience in a positive way, what you want to experience in a positive way. You open the door that way and it helps put out the fire, for me anyway.
I love that question. I love that. And we all have our own little language. We all have our own little thing, you know, that we say to ourselves. I'm like, angels, thanks for surrounding me in white and blue light and protecting me. I take a deep breath and I'm like, this was meant for me. I'm safe. I'm worthy. It's okay. And then that's it. And I love Louise. Hey, stop out. That's nonsense. You deserve this. It's okay. You're safe now. Thank you. And I tend to be a little more rip off the Band-Aid. Like I don't have, you know, I have a lot going on, not a ton of time to like, you know, I like to do longer talks with myself and give myself major put-ups. But in those actual moments when push comes to shove, I'm like, rip off the Band-Aid. Here we go. It's like jumping in a cold pool. Like as a kid, it's like, it hurts a little bit. At first you're like, and then you're like, wow, this is refreshing and great and amazing. So it's kind of like that. And what I do is I say, you know what, like this is on my path. This is lining up for a reason. The worst that's going to happen is I'm going to learn. Why wouldn't I take this chance? And why wouldn't I trust? So I hope that helps, Emily. And I hope that supports you a little bit. Oh, and real quick, I'll pull you a card for Emily. Just because I know you'd love one. Oh, Earth School, life lessons, soul growth, higher study, or study, higher learning. She's literally diving on into Earth. So that is you right now, my sister. I hope that it supports you and helps you.
And we have other comments, and I don't know how much you want to do this, how far you want to go, because it is like 3:59. So I'm just going to read this one because I'm just going to say they're like, patience. They know that there's a stopping point and they know that there's like this wall, and I don't feel like it's the only wall. I feel like there's been a lot of walls. Okay, so I feel like your impatience right now is actually teaching you to heal, to know, to trust. And sometimes that's like the hardest thing for us to do is trust when things seem to not ever work out. Yeah. But we also have to acknowledge that the things not working out are either for our benefit or something that we also have brought into our space for a reason. Okay. And this is where the not so pleasantries of all of this jazz come into it. And they're making me feel like this is actually a lesson in trust, trusting that you're taken care of, trusting that you're going to be held, trusting that things are going to work out the way that they're supposed to, not necessarily the way that you think they should sometimes, and giving up that control of what you think your life should look like. And I'm not saying that that means you're not going to get into the police academy. That's not what I'm saying. They're literally just making me feel like you've got a minute to sift and sit and learn, receive, feel things out, and allow yourself to be free from feeling like you have to wear the world and all of the burdens on top of your shoulders because that's your success. It's almost like this is like your whole life is riding on this one moment in this experience, and you're not giving yourself the pause to breathe. So they're really making me feel like they would like for you to take the bricks and lay them to the side, because I feel like you've been carrying a lot on top of your shoulders for a really long time. So they're just asking you to be free for a moment and let them take care of things. Okay. I love you because they're making me feel like you're a really beautiful freaking person. And they're really making me feel like as your beautifulness, you've also had a lot of hardships. And those hardships have kind of led you to kind of feeling a little bit more like, and they just want to really lift you. They're really making me feel like that's what they're trying to do. So please just take that into consideration in thinking about this or thinking things through. And I can't tell you when you're going to get in, because that's literally part of the issue. Part of the issue is waiting to receive the answer. And so even I'm not, I don't know. I'm not perfect, and I can't even receive all the messages all the time. So I wish I was, but I'm not. So
Angels, are you with us right now to answer a question for Charlotte? Yes, thank you. Show me neutral. Neutral's just like this circle. Is Charlotte going to hear back from Police Academy within the next couple of weeks? Yeah. Show me neutral. Will things work out in her favor for her highest good? Yep. All is well. Just hang in there, hang tight. And if you're determined, like, you will make it happen. Like, anybody who wants to do anything will make that happen. I know people who failed it and gone and taken the test again and done it again. And like, I know several people actually, I think several. So like, hang in there and be patient with yourself. And what can you do? Like, pretend you already got it. Like, especially, I always say this when people are manifesting a job, just like we talked about before, show up to work, show up like you got it. So like, do your workouts, do your meditations, do some yoga, do some journaling, do the things that you need to do to prepare. What do you want your mental health practice to look like if you are, do become an officer? What's that going to be like? What are you going to need to do to prepare for academy and all of that? So like, hang in there and do the things you want to do in order to get the job. Hope that helps.
How are you feeling?
And I believe I blocked a couple trolls too.
Okay. Awesome sauce. Yeah, we got a lot of those coming through today, man. You all are just pulling in some energy, aren't you?
Oh, man.
So it is 4:00 and I do have to go. So Miss Mandee, first off, if you commented and you wanted reading, I am sorry we could not get to you. Do you want to pull one more for an overall week? Okay.
For the week, might as well do the Starseed deck. I already got it in my hands for everybody. Baby steps. Woo-hoo! Yay. Action. Follow your intuition before it makes sense. Trust that which you need to know will be revealed. Take those little tiny steps towards what your soul and your higher self is calling you to do, and trust it and honor it, and literally do one thing to feed it. If you're like, wow, I really want to be a crystal healer one day, I don't even know where to start. Like, start researching crystals. We're on this right now. We all have, this amazing tool at our fingertips, and we can start learning at any time. So I'd be honored to hold soul space with you. My name is Mandee Elam. I'm an intuitive ascension guide and I'm a conscious transformation specialist. So I really help people on their journey, people who are ready to start understanding their gifts, understanding how to heal, understanding how to shift their perspectives in their minds in order to co-create what it is that they want, help people transmute a lot of traumas and traumas and find purpose with that. And it's a beautiful and sacred thing, but there's a reason you made it through it. So we might as well take a look at it and see what we can do to help. And I always give at the end of this reading, at the end of all my lives, a 50% off. If you made it this far, if you use the coupon Mandee Live for any of my services, it'll give you 50% off. And if you subscribe to Sea Goddess Healing Arts, you'll see that we have an awesome newsletter that just came out. I have another deal that's up in that. And then we have lots of online classes, soul circles, workshops, and all kinds of things coming up. So keep in touch with us. Crystal, how can people get a hold of you? And thank you so much. It's been a beautiful night.
I know it has been, and the comments are amazing, and I love you guys so much. I did read through them. I apologize that we didn't get through to all of you, but I do want you to know that we did read them all. So thank you very, very much. And you can get a hold of me through my website. It is linked actually down at the bottom. It's Spirit Speaks LLC IP.com. Sorry, I didn't remember my own website. And you can also get us on YouTube, which I don't know if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook, we're on both of those. So make sure you follow us, like us, subscribe, and also tell people because we like people and we appreciate you guys all. And we hope you have a beautiful, wonderful night. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye.